A long time ago, in the bustling village of Ijoba, there was a mysterious and plump woman named Auntie Sua. She was known far and wide for her delicious pepper soup, which she sold every market day. Her food was not only the tastiest, but also the cheapest, making it affordable for both the rich and the poor. Every market day, she arrived with her large clay pots, never speaking to anyone except when serving her customers. In the blink of an eye, her food would sell out, and she would quietly pack her empty pots and disappear. The villagers often whispered amongst themselves, puzzled by how Auntie Sua managed to sell such rich, meaty soup at such low prices. The size of the meat chunks she served was too generous, far larger than what other food vendors could afford to offer. The other food sellers grew envious. "I don't understand how she makes a profit," one trader murmured. "Meat is expensive. How does she sell hers so cheaply?" "Unless she has a secret supplier," another woman added, shaking her head. "Or maybe she has a special way of getting her meat." Meanwhile, a disturbing pattern was emerging in the village. Every market day, a child went missing. Some disappeared from the marketplace, others from their homes, but no one knew who was responsible. The villagers searched desperately, but the missing children were never found. Fear gripped the people, yet no one could solve the mystery. Auntie Sua, however, remained indifferent to the villagers' troubles. She never mingled with others, and her cold, intimidating demeanor made her even more unapproachable. Children feared her, especially because she had a terrible temper. If their football ever hit her cooking pots by mistake, she would fly into a rage and sometimes even slash their balls with a knife. No child dared to play near her stall anymore. One curious girl, Eduk, found it strange that despite Auntie Sua's harsh behavior, people still flocked to her for food. Determined to uncover her secret, Eduk decided to follow her home after the market closed. That evening, as Auntie Sua packed up her pots, Eduk hid behind a wooden stall and waited. As soon as Auntie Sua began walking, Eduk followed at a safe distance. But to Eduk's surprise, Auntie Sua did not head towards the village. Instead, she walked straight into the Forbidden Grove, a dense forest where the elders had warned the villagers never to go. Eduk's heart pounded. Why would she go there? She wondered. The Forbidden Grove was said to be the gathering place of dark spirits. Still, she pressed on, careful not to make a sound. As she crept behind a large mango tree, she saw Auntie Sua approaching a group of 5 hooded figures standing under an ancient iroko tree. Eduk gasped and quickly covered her mouth. She watched as the women exchanged greetings and began discussing how to split the money from Auntie Sua's sales. Then, one of them spoke in a chilling tone, "The more children we take, the more we profit." Eduk's blood ran cold. Children. She looked around and noticed something horrifying. Hanging from the branches of the iroko tree were small pieces of clothing. As she stared in horror, she recognized them. They belonged to the missing children. Her thoughts were interrupted when a twig snapped beneath her foot. The eerie women stopped talking and turned their gaze in her direction. Auntie Sua's eyes burned with fury as she gripped her large cooking pot tightly. "Someone is here," one of the women hissed. Without thinking, Eduk turned and ran as fast as she could. Branches scraped against her arms, but she didn't stop. She could hear footsteps behind her, but fear gave her strength. Bursting out of the forest, she ran straight to the village square, panting and sweating. She went directly to the palace and fell at the king's feet. "Your Majesty, I know who has been taking the missing children," she cried. The king narrowed his eyes. "Are you certain of what you are saying, child?" "Yes, Your Majesty." It's Auntie Sua. She and a group of witches are using the missing children for meat in her food. A murmur spread through the court. Some were shocked, others doubtful. This is a serious accusation, the king said. If this is true, we must act swiftly. He then ordered his guards to follow Aduk to the forbidden grove. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Auntie Sua and her accomplices were in panic. That child has seen too much, one of them shrieked. We must flee. No, Auntie Sua said firmly. If we return to the village now, we will be killed. We must stay hidden. But before they could escape, the king's guards arrived, surrounding them. The women tried to fight back, but they were no match for the trained warriors. One by one, they were captured and dragged back to the village. When they arrived at the square, the villagers gasped in horror as they saw the small garments taken from the trees. Parents of the missing children wailed in agony. Those who had eaten Auntie Sua's food collapsed in disgust and regret. The king, his face dark with anger, stood and declared, "These wicked women have committed a great atrocity in our land. They do not deserve to live." By the king's decree, the villagers stoned Auntie Sua and her accomplices to death. Their evil was wiped from the village, thanks to Aduk's bravery. For her courage, the king rewarded Aduk with a place in his household, ensuring she would never lack anything again. The villagers learned to be more cautious about where they ate and never to ignore strange happenings in their midst. Moral of the story: be mindful of what you eat outside, and always trust your instincts when something feels off.